Brea is mortally wounded, and from the rubble of Shambhala, a mysterious force has arisen. It now pursues us back toward Garreg Mach. General Holst attempted to intercept them, but his entire army was routed. Fortunately, he has bought us time to regroup, and now we can meet this enemy with the full might of the Leicester Alliance. In the end, the future of Fódlan will be decided not in some grand castle or ancient city, but in a swamp alongside the Aramid River. It's only fitting that we deploy the original Golden Deer House alongside our 3 representatives from the Church of Seros, Sedith, Flayn, and Cyril. This being the final chapter, there's no reason to hold anything back. Accordingly, we have finally used our precious moose meat to cook the meal the best of Fódlan 4 times. Because of that, every stat on every unit is boosted by 4 points. That makes the entire army simultaneously fast and strong and durable. And that'll be useful because we are going to defeat every single enemy in 1 turn. Nah, just kidding. But we definitely will rout the enemy, and we'll also collect all the treasure before we finally put down this so-called Liberation Army. Most of our units are in classes they've been accustomed to, but there is one change of note. Lawrence has taken up the Paladin class again. When he has free reign to use all the relic weapons, Frozen Lance with Lancefare is devastating, and other units have similar license to use up whatever legendary weapons we have. For this final battle, Balthus will support Lysithea, making sure she can use Vantage safely. Petra will fly with Claude, and Ferdinand will back Lawrence. And that's it for preparations. All of our work culminates with this.
Nemesis is here, and with more soldiers than expected.
A swamp, huh? But there's something about it. It looks odd somehow.
Can't breathe. He should not have done that. Be careful. The water is poisonous to the living.
Looks like we better not get near that swamp. Try to avoid it during the fight. Let's go.
Cyril casts Stride.
Thanks for that.
My orders?
And Leone uses Retribution.
Apologies.
Claude leads the assault. With Wind God, he can one-shot the Grimoire who has Bor Kai, the Dark Siege spell.
My moment has arrived! Sorry, but I must.
Because he received the Shoes of the Wind, Claude can still move back 1 space, where Marianne can reach him.
Sorry.
Now our fearless leader can attack Odess, the Dark Bishop who commands the remnant of those who slither in the dark.
We're all desperate, aren't we?
When Odess dies, his minions retreat.
Now we can't call any more demonic beasts. Time to see off his allies.
Claude keeps going east so that he can battle Regan and Fraldarius. The enemy controls several siege weapons. Lawrence eliminates one of those with a single strike.
A nobleman does his duty.
Byleth cripples 2 nearby swordmasters using Assault Troop, and incidentally, he weakens Blathid.
It's time.
Like Byleth, Flame uses a gambit to stun one of the 10 elites. Her target is Goneril.
We'll cover.
Are you ready? Shall we?
Hilda follows suit by attacking Karen and Gloucester simultaneously.
We will help. I've got an idea.
Huh? I think they've got some sort of magical link with Nemesis.
Could the magic be protecting him?
Not sure, but we'd better take out his 10 commanders before taking him on.
Sedith has the honor of scoring the first kill on any of the elites. He cleanly one-shots Daphne.
Nine more commanders remaining. We just killed number 10. These can't be the 10 elites, can they? Nah, not likely.
As an assassin, Ignatz moves freely through the forests, so he can reach our squad at the center of the map and refresh most of it with Dance of the Goddess.
Thank you.
Marianne will end up in range of multiple attacks, so she switches rings to be safe. Meanwhile, Byleth smites Hilda to the north so that she can't be attacked by either sniper. The bottommost sniper is operating an onager, not a ballista, so he doesn't have effective damage on her. Flame rescues her father toward his next victim. She moves back so that Marianne can refresh her. Marianne does so while standing next to a fortress knight, who shouldn't be able to hit her. Sedith attacks Lamine. As long as she doesn't activate Pavis twice in a row, he will kill her. No matter, Flame can go kill Dominic first.
They say experience feeds growth.
Flame's 5-tile attack range makes it easy for her to fly to safety. Now, Sedith attacks Lamine. As long as she doesn't activate Pavis twice in a row, he will kill her. Thanks, game. Raphael takes out all our frustrations on Bladed. Sedith attacks Lamine. As long as she doesn't activate Pavis twice in a row, he will kill her. First try, yeah!
Had I room to grow?
Oh, the swampland vanished.
Sedith goes south to face Gautier.
Let's make this quick.
Lysithea blasts a couple of heroes plus a sniper. She has Darkspike's Tau equipped, so she can also handle the paladins once the heroes are out of the way.
I will kill you. Do not get in my way.
So that's Nemesis. You're a crusty old bastard, you know that?
All those who stand in my way will be destroyed!
Watch out, Claude! They're coming for us!
Zenith has finally caught a break. Gloucester's relic gives him Pavis and Aegis too, but he can't withstand 2 hits from Freikugel.
Yep, I'm stronger now.
Hey, can you speak? Just puppets controlled by Nemesis. Well, they're the strongest puppets I've ever known. Too easy. Strategy in motion. Huh!
Fraldarius' Dark Aegis Shield has that same effect, but it doesn't matter if she survives.
Hold the grudge if you must.
Claude's crit renders it moot anyway. This hero has Desperation, but Balthus would protect Lysithea from death no matter what.
You lost that one. I aspire to be my best.
I'm not a kid anymore.
It's done.
Cyril is strong enough to kill this bishop, but he might fail because of Miracle. Byleth equipped the rapier so that he would be able to kill this paladin.
This could turn the tides.
The Spear of Asal makes mincemeat of generic paladins.
Destiny unfurls.
You've activated Vantage and Wrath, foolish man.
Sorry, but I must. My moment has arrived. A fitting outcome. Can't afford this setback. Strategy in motion. I fought and won.
Child's play. I will not die yet.
Amazing what a little bloodshed can do.
My moment has arrived. We're all desperate, aren't we? Strategy in motion. You got yourself killed.
That was a great start, if I do say so myself. Now we should turn our attention to the treasure chests. There's one in the north near Flame, another in the far east, and a final one in the southeast corner. This one contains a giant shell, because obviously the most useful place to get stat boosters is on the actual final map of the game.
My orders?
Leone kills the bishop who survived Cyril.
Alright, who's next?
Steady now.
Ignatz finishes off the warrior that Flame wounded.
I'll defeat you! For the future of Fódlan.
Let's go.
Cyril uses Ignatz's linked attack support against one of the swordmasters.
No way I can lose here. Seems I've improved again. What's my strategy?
Byleth changes weapons so that he supports Hilda as she attacks the ballistician.
Shall we? Don't get used to this.
Hilda goes to Marianne for some dance support.
There's more to be done. Then. Let's be prudent.
Flame equips her healing staff, then goes south, where she can heal up to 7 people with Fortify. Notice that Lysithea is out of range, and so is Claude, of course. She returns to the treasure chest.
die yet!
Lysithea kills the other Swordmaster. The Caduceus Staff's healing won't deactivate Vantage.
It's done.
Raphael takes another scalp.
Am I getting closer?
Hilda's task is to lock down Karen and this Wyvern Lord again.
Oh, I got it!
Byleth defeats Gautier, freeing Seteth to approach the third and final treasure chest.
There is still room for improvement. Lament your weakness.
Shall we?
Lawrence kills this Fortress Knight.
I'll tolerate no obstacle.
He moves away from the monster so that it will attack Leone, whose bows are effective against it. That's 10 out of 10 elites down.
Professor, Claude, all the subordinates to Nemesis have been eliminated.
It took some doing, but now's our chance to face off against Nemesis.
Seteth has very little to fear from these heroes.
Watch and learn! Another victory.
Turn 3 begins, and we now equal the enemy in numbers. We can quickly clear the chaff before we confront the final boss.
A fitting outcome.
Meanwhile, our rear guard has a few stragglers to deal with.
Too close for my liking.
I'll do my best.
If Marianne dances for Lawrence, he'll be able to kill the last sniper, the one operating the onager.
That helps.
It appears that Hilda and Seth could both use some support, particularly because Seth needs to reach the final chest. He can't stay put for too long. The trick is to change equipment.
I'll tolerate no obstacle.
Lysithea can kill either the Fortress Knight or the hero right now, then deal with the other one on enemy phase.
Carefully. I will not die yet.
Flame retrieves our ultimate weapon, the one and only Arrow of Indra. This paladin wants to kill Flame, and the Wyvern Lord will do the same to Lawrence. That's a problem for Byleth and Hilda to solve, and maybe Cyril too. In the west, we still have a monster to contend with, but Leone, Cyril, Ignatz, and Raphael all have effective weapons to use.
I'll try.
Ideally, Byleth could help Seth here, but it looks like his services are needed elsewhere. Sadly, there are no one-shot kills to be found.
Be smart or I'm finished.
Leone uses the Inexhaustible to clear the monster's second health bar by herself. Ignat shatters the final barrier. Cyril is now free to assist Hilda. One solution to our predicament is to have Byleth and Cyril team up on the Wyvern Lord while Hilda kills the Paladin. It might have helped a lot if Cyril had packed a Brave Bow.
No problem.
Now's our chance.
That's what you get.
The problem now is that we can't kill both bishops, so we can't completely shut down enemy healing. In order to mitigate that as much as possible, and to make it easier for his teammates to clean up, Seth attacks the most distant bishop.
Just a hindrance. That is all.
Hilda kills the Paladin, keeping Flayn safe. It was very important for Flayn to get as close as she did, trust me.
It was a team effort.
By stopping here, Hilda makes herself an ideal stride target. Here we are, the final enemy phase.
It's done.
You defeat me? Left. That is all. Lament your weakness.
Three enemies remain: Nemesis, one bishop, and one demonic beast, who crumples under Raphael's fists.
You did it!
Flame hands the arrow of Indra to its greatest wielder, and then she rescues Lysithea. Cyril casts Stride on Hilda, covering 5 different people.
Ooh, nice!
Barring a miracle, Byleth can kill this bishop using Sublime Heaven. Marianne should be able to dance for him afterward.
It won't be in vain.
Seth collects one last souvenir, a secret book for the road. He'll have a lot of time to read it. The plan is for Byleth and Claude to weaken Nemesis first. Our boss killer will then swoop in to deal the final blow. Hilda may also be able to help by using her personal ability to boost damage, just as Byleth and Claude can with Sacred Power and Charm, respectively. Who is that boss killer? There's only one man for the job. We do have to get him there. Between Reposition, Smite, and Warp, we have some options. Byleth strikes first. Blutgang is his most powerful weapon.
that sword. You bear the crest of flames, just as I do.
I must pull through.
Claude follows up with a gambit.
Feeble creature, prepare to die!
I am here.
Pull out all the stops.
All right, Lawrence, it's up to you. Show this old bandit the true meaning of nobility.
Good, but not enough.
I am not well pleased.
It's over. We won.
That one seemed to work. We're almost done. Let's go, my friend. Tough talk from the guy who's lived too long. Allow me to fix that!
You are all pathetic weaklings. You lack the courage to challenge me in lone combat.
Yet we have the strength to scale the walls between us. To reach out our hands in friendship so we can open our true hearts to one another. That's how we win! Future historians will refer to this day as the new dawn of Fódlan. Of that, I have no doubt. It's up to you now, Teach. As for my path...
A rising flame was alight as the flow of time carved a new history for Fódlan. The ambitions of the fell king Nemesis were crushed, averting what could have been the greatest crisis in the history of Fódlan. After 5.5 years of war, a new age was set to begin. Country, faith, history, all that had once formed the order of the world was wiped clean. The heroes whose very hand saved Fódlan from a dark fate commenced with the building of a new society. The leaders of this new, unified Fódlan began their walk down a seemingly endless path. One towards a world that would cherish differences in race and belief. One where all life would be valued equally. Those leaders clung to the hope that their path would not end with Fódlan, that it would someday span the seas to Dagda and beyond the throat to Ulmyra.
Professor? What are you doing here? I was talking to Gerald. The sky feels so close, like you can almost touch the stars. I thought my voice might reach him. That the war's finally over. And that his kid and his greatest apprentice did an amazing job out there. Maybe I'm overselling the part I played. Thanks, but I was nothing compared to you. I feel like an idiot for ever thinking I could surpass you. I have managed to keep my promise, though. So, how would you feel about hiring me again? Can't exactly go and break my word now, can I? The war's over, but the enemy might still be lurking. What if they're waiting until I'm gone to attack you? But... oh, I get it. You're probably pretty tired of me always trailing after you, huh? Love? As in the way a commander loves his soldiers, right? Of course that's what you mean. Oh, that's... that kind of love. Can this really be happening? You want to marry me? Of course I will. You are being serious, right? That would be an awful joke. I'm sorry. I should have been more honest. All that stuff about my promise a minute ago, it was mostly just an excuse for wanting to be near you. But I'm not really the romantic type, so I had a hard time coming out and saying it. Are you sure this is what you want, though? I know I'm not exactly conventional. Guess I'm really wearing this ring then, aren't I? But I do still have a promise to keep with Captain Gerald, too. You've got a big job ahead of you, building a whole new Fódlan. I'm going to support you through all of that. Make sure it never gets to be too much. Then that's that. I promise to protect you until death parts us. And I'll be happy for you to do the same for me.
Now that that's settled, let's see the heroes of the campaign. There are 43 battles listed here. Of our 15 main units, only 2 were never MVP, Ferdinand and Marianne. That makes sense. Ferdinand saw limited action, and Marianne was relegated to dancing duty. Lawrence, Flane, Cyril, and Balthus got the award once each. That doesn't surprise me too much, even though Balthus put in a lot of work in the latter half of White Clouds. Those 4 all spent a lot of time in support roles. What is surprising is that Byleth and Sethith only appear twice. They got outmuscled by Raphael, Lysithea, Leone, and Petra, who each show up 4 times. And then in clear second place, believe it or not, it's Ignatz, with 5 MVP trophies. All of those came before the time skip. Beyond that point, Claude completely took over. In just 17 post-time skip battles, he earned 9 MVP honors, more than half of them. Adding in his 4 appearances before the time skip, Claude was officially our best unit 13 times. There are some interesting trends on the turn counts too. The early game was fairly slow going, which is to be expected on Maddening mode. However, the last battle where we took more than 10 turns was Sothis' Epilogue. Once we finished passing around the Knowledge Gem, we accelerated quite a bit. Almost every subsequent map was over in 8 turns or less. The 2 exceptions were the Chapter 8 mission, the Remire Calamity, where we took a 9th turn to make sure a few of our units would hit level 20, and Marianne's Epilogue, where we needed 10 turns to chew through all those health bars while navigating some very rough terrain. The shortest battles in the campaign took 3 turns. That happened 4 times, in each of our last 4 paralogs before the time skip. Some of those battles, like Anna's paralog, were really tricky, so it was easiest to go as fast as possible instead of milking them for more experience. We're now well into Verdant Wind. One of the things I noticed is that we finished a lot of battles in exactly 6 turns. More than anything, I think that's due to the 5-turn duration of Retribution. We could have 5 very strong enemy phases until it ran out, and then we wanted to wrap things up. It's fun to see the cavalcade of Claudes in this area of the list. In large part, that comes down to the sheer dominance of flyers in this game. Petra and Seth were nearly as prolific as Claude was, and they definitely would have led this competition if Claude hadn't existed. However, other units did have some big parts to play. Byleth and Lysithea twice broke into the club here in Part 2. For her service in war, and her innovations in magic, Constance von Neuville was among the first to receive peerage in the new Fódlan. For generations thereafter, her noble house was valued as a leader in magical research and development. Anna's business savvy proved to be a great asset in the post-war reconstruction of Garreg Mach. Once the restoration was complete, she disappeared from the area entirely, though tales of a mysterious merchant were passed down in every corner of the world for centuries to come. Some say she continues her travels even to this day, eternally peddling her wares, and ever in search of the next lucrative opportunity. Shortly after the war, Shamir gave up the mercenary life and disappeared. Though she was never heard from again, rumors swirled persistently for years of a master archer turned thief who lined her pockets by shaking down all those who preyed upon the innocent. Catherine left the Knights of Seros and set out to travel across Fódlan. With Thunderbrand in hand, she wandered the countryside, seeking always to defend the innocent and punish the wicked. Her many years of heroics ensured that she would always be remembered by the people as a beloved folk hero. Though Fódlan had changed, Hanneman's goal remained unwavering, to determine the workings of the crests and to do away with the inequality caused by them. To that end, his research resulted in magical tools that could be used even without the aid of crests. This proved to be yet another worthwhile discovery by the father of crestology. Annette returned to her hometown of Ferdiad, where she took up a teaching position at the Royal School of Sorcery. She was a gifted instructor, and many of her students went on to become world-renowned sages. Though her talent for teaching was remarkable in its own right, she was perhaps best remembered for effortlessly securing the trust and respect of her many students, as well as inspiring all who knew her by living a life of kindness, cheer, and humility. As Margrave Gautier, Sylvain devoted his life to improving relations with the people of the Srang region. With oration alone, he succeeded in helping to create a new way of life for nobles in which relics and crests were no longer viewed as necessary. Though he went down in history as an extraordinary lord, it nevertheless became customary to refer to cheaters as sons of Gautier. After the war, Ashe was formally knighted and appointed the new head of House Gaspard, which had no successors. His warm, sincere attitude toward his subjects was praised all over Fódlan, and Ashe was finally recognized as the ideal knight he'd always hoped to be. His deeds live on in countless tales. Even after the war's end, skirmishes continued to break out across Fódlan. Bored and restless in his capacity as Duke Fraldarius, Felix abandoned his title, jumping at the opportunity to wield the sword again. Little is known of his whereabouts thereafter, but even many years later, soldiers continued to whisper rumors of a mysterious man able to deal swift death to scores of enemies. As soon as Bernadetta inherited House Varley from her father, she withdrew from all political discourse and focused solely on the management of her own territory. Because of this, and her penchant for spending long periods of time in hibernation, she became known throughout the house's history as the Bear of Varley. Where exactly Happy went after the war is unknown. Some say she returned to her hometown to live a quiet life, while others speculate she assumed a new identity in the underworld beneath Garreg Mach. There is one incident that is a matter of historical record, however. Some years later, remnants of those who slither in the dark emerged to threaten Fódlan once again. They were defeated by a mysterious woman leading a horde of beasts. After Fódlan had healed from the war, Yuri's organization spent the next few decades cultivating and controlling illicit markets. Not coincidentally, wherever Yuri's underground businesses thrived, so too did orphanages and almshouses. For the awe and respect his generosity earned him among the downtrodden, Yuri came to be known as the Underground Lord. Once all the fighting had come to an end, Alois officially took up the position of Captain of the Knights of Seiros. In this capacity, he was much beloved, and the Knights became more unified than ever under his command. It is said that their accomplishments during his tenure were beyond even what Geralt's troop had achieved. Mercedes left home and went to Garreg Mach, where she became a model cleric. She devoted the whole of her life to the service of the goddess and became well loved by the people, who revered her for her piety and her boundless generosity toward those in need. Linhardt abandoned his inherited position in favor of a carefree life at Garreg Mach Monastery. There he spent his days at ease, whiling away the hours at the fishing pond or in his private study. After his passing, a treasure trove of documents was unearthed, revealing the key discoveries he had made during his many years of crest research. When Galatea territory was seized, Ingrid argued strongly for the preservation of its borders. Her request was granted, and she was appointed to rule. From her new position, she gave her all to ensure that the people of Galatea lived peaceful lives and put in years of hard work to reform its farming practices. Her efforts bore fruit, to the people's delight, and Galatea became a land of plenty. After the war, Caspar set out alone on a journey of self-discovery. He traveled to every corner of Fódlan, and even ventured abroad now and again. It is said that he got into mischief at every turn, but that the victims of his antics, always more amused than harmed or offended, remembered him fondly and passed those stories on to future generations. Dorothea returned to the Middle Frank Opera as soon as the war was over. Thanks to her talent, the company enjoyed a resurgence in popularity that lasted well beyond the end of her own career. Once she gave up her position as a songstress, she settled down to a private life of peace and quiet. It is said that she was very happily married. Manuela left Garreg Mach to build her own academy in a small, war-torn town. There, she contributed heavily to rebuilding efforts, while teaching future generations the necessary skills of survival. Though she never married or had children of her own, she spent the last years of her life happily devoted to her students. After reclaiming the title of Duke Eyre, Ferdinand set about reforming his territory. He overcame numerous obstacles to help the lands of Eyre recover, and in recognition of those achievements, he was invited to take part in helping to govern all of Fódlan. As the new head of House Gloucester, Lawrence first worked to restore his own territory, and then expanded his vision to include reforms for all Fódlan. At the height of his storied political career, he announced his marriage to Marianne. Prior to the wedding, she received extensive tutelage from her adoptive father, Margrave Edmund, so that by the time they were wed, she was fully prepared to govern. The pair was particularly successful in providing new innovations in dairy farming, and came to be known as the mother and father of horses and cattle in the region. It is said that Lawrence was rather vexed by the title. Balthus accompanied Lysithea home to help her parents restore their family land, securing the aid of his younger brother, who happened to be lord of a nearby domain. Years later, when the end of their hard work was finally in sight, Lysithea relinquished House Ordelia's claim to nobility, ceding the territory to a nearby lord. Shortly thereafter, Balthus brought her and her family to Kupala and Fódlan's Throat. There they fell in love and lived peaceful, happy lives blending in with the mountain folk. Raphael returned to his hometown to serve his liege lord as a knight, and spent his spare time helping out at the inn that his family had opened during his time away. He was compelled to give up knighthood and manage the inn full-time, however, when his sister Maya suddenly declared her ambition to become an artist and vanished. Years later, when she finally returned, she did so in the company of another artist, her husband, Ignaz. With cheerful support from Raphael's family, Ignaz and his wife rose to prominence and, with their unique style, set the artistic paradigm in Fódlan for a generation. While Flame disappeared soon after the war, Sedith stayed at the monastery and worked to restore the authority of the Church of Seiros. Doing away with his old strictness, he adopted a tolerant stance toward all, and encouraged his followers to do the same. When he was satisfied that the message was received, he vanished from the monastery. Several centuries later, a man and a woman in ancient attire emerged to a Fódlan that had drastically changed. When she asked the man beside her if it would be alright in this new era to call him father, he said that perhaps it would be better to remain on the safe side. Hilda returned to her territory and founded the first artisan academy in Fódlan. Years later, as the successful headmaster of that school, she journeyed to Garreg Mach to make a donation to the church. There she encountered Cyril, who had graduated from the Officers' Academy and joined the Knights of Seiros. When each saw how much the other had grown and matured, a mutual attraction between them blossomed naturally into love. Cyril eventually left the church to become a knight of House Goneril at the invitation of Hilda's brother, Holst. As Holst's new brother-in-law, Cyril provided essential aid in negotiations with House Goneril's Almiran neighbors. Claude left Fódlan, entrusting its future to his friends. He intended to travel to his homeland of Almyra, but his love for Petra instead drew him west, to Brigid. He won her affection, and after receiving the blessing of her grandfather, the King of Brigid, the two were wed. Some years later, each inherited their respective thrones. As the monarchs of Brigid and Almyra, Petra and Claude fostered friendly diplomatic relations between the two regions and Fódlan. Byleth announced his marriage to Leone shortly after becoming leader of the United Kingdom of Fódlan. Though she accepted the status of queen, Leone disliked the pageantry of the position and refused to part with her weapons. She avoided court and instead founded the Geralt Company, an elite group of soldiers handpicked from the Royal Guard. They mostly busied themselves by hunting down bandits and monsters, but they also stopped the remnants of the Imperial Army from organizing a revolt. It is rumored that one knight of rare skill who fought alongside Leone in the Geralt Company was none other than the king himself.
Reach for my hand, I'll soar away into the dawn. Oh, I wish I could stay here in cherished halls, in peaceful days. I fear the edge of dawn, knowing time betrays. Faint lights pass through colored glass in this beloved place. Silver shines, the world dines, a smile on each face. As joy surrounds, comfort abounds, and I can feel I'm breaking free. For just this moment lost in time, I am finally me. Yet still I hide behind this mask that I have become. My blackened heart, scorched by flames, a force I can't run from. As I live out each peaceful day, deep in my soul, oh, I know I can't stay. So I wish I could hide away, hold tight to what I love, keep cruel fate at bay. As the rain falls on the path, I chase your shadow. I don't feel a single drop or the ground below. Then you turn to me and I stop before I know. And the lie upon my lips, I let it go. Cross my heart, making vows I know will be betrayed. A sad girl's pleas live only for a breath and then they fade. Don't ever take back your kind hand, lest precious love slip away like time's sand. Only we will know all that was lost, scars that we can't erase show us life's true cost. The blue moonlight cuts across our sight as pure and clear as a ringing bell, reaching for us in the night. As the wind calms my thoughts, I held strong on this terrace. I feel at peace, carried away by the wind song. Open the door and walk away, never give in to the call of yesterday. Memories that made those days sublime, these ruined halls and tombs, stolen time. Reach for my hand, I'll soar away into the dawn. Oh, I wish I could stay here in cherished halls. In peaceful days, I fear the edge of dawn, knowing time betrays.
While we watch the rest of the credits, I'd like to give my thoughts on how each of our 15 characters perform. My magical Byleth worked out really well. It's definitely not the most natural thing to do, and the usual problem for mages who don't have any special spells is that on Maddening mode, there's not a lot for them to do. They tend to be just a little too slow and a little too weak to do well in combat. But what I've observed from this run is that Byleth got ahead on speed by going through early sword classes and taking a couple of speed wings, and that enabled him to do just fine with spells like Fire and Thunder. He benefited a lot from High Authority, and it really helped him that he got a magical class with 6 movement for free, although it would have been even better if he had access to Valkyrie or Dark Flyer. On Claude, the Vantage Wrath plan worked like a charm. He could have gone for Wyvern Ride instead of Sniper, but I'm happy with my choice. We had more than enough people using up the flying battalions in Part 1 anyway. I do think getting Vantage and regular Wrath, rather than Battalion Wrath, was totally worth it. The results in Chapter 13 spoke for themselves. Lawrence was merely adequate. That's not entirely his fault. He got essentially 0 stat boosters, and if he had gotten the same package that Byleth had, he would have been a lot better. Still, early Ragnarok was cool. Raphael really impressed me. In a lot of ways, he seems to be eclipsed by Baltus nowadays, but I was surprised how many times I noticed and cared about Raphael's higher accuracy and crit rate when I was devising strategies. He did really well in Part 2, although he owes a lot to the fact that I specifically rushed him to level 30 and then embraced the ultimate cheese to help him unlock Quick Riposte. I didn't go for Battalion Wrath setups on him, mainly because I find Battalion HP management really annoying unless I'm doing something to prevent my weakened battalions from taking damage, and I wasn't trying to give Raphael a gigantic amount of protection. Ignatz was great. His consistency was just so nice early on, and he constantly made himself useful. I do think that the straight sniper build is his best option, but it was tremendously entertaining to watch him march onto Gronder Field and slaughter everything in his path with 100% crit rate on both phases. Lysithea rocked. I already knew that her Vantage build would work out, since I did that on my very first Maddening run, and before that I had been informed by my experiences using Ophelia in Conquest. You have to use Lysithea with a bit of care, but she's definitely capable of reaching those one-shot kill thresholds throughout the campaign, if she gets a good share of the magic boosters. Also, the Valkyrie class was just amazing for her. It made her a lot better in the middle part of the game, when she would otherwise constantly get left behind. Marianne did exactly what she needed to do, and there's not much else to say. I do think I got a pretty substantial benefit from her riding boon, but that seems like it matters more on a longer route like this one. I didn't miss Physic at all. I think I underestimated Hilda. She was excellent early on. She had good starting combat, she was able to boost all the men with Advocate, and she was my first flyer, which counts for a lot. But around the end of Part 1 and the beginning of Part 2, a lot of other units were completing some really powerful builds, with abilities like Vantage, or Alert Stance, or Quick Riposte. At that point, Hilda's own build was very vanilla, and she never got any great combat arts to abuse, so I wasn't really building my strategies around her. The only thing I thought she was especially good at was abusing the Immortal Core, but I didn't give her enough credit for her ability to swing the Brave Axe. Leonie was an absolute workhorse. The only problem for her was that she had the misfortune of being my only good 8-movement horse unit for a long time, and that meant she was on retribution duty a lot. Thankfully, she was always able to catch up, and I really appreciated her combination of mobility, range, and killing power. Quick Riposte Setheth was a treat, especially once I started dumping defense and resistance boosters on him. Without going back to check everything, I can only recall him facing an actual chance of death one time. Protection stacking works well on its own, but if you can combine that with flight and automatic doubling and 33% healing every turn, it's nuts. When I was starting this run, it was my first time using all the DLC in the main campaign. I expected Dark Flyer to be a huge boon for Flame, and I suppose I can't say she exceeded my expectations, but only because they were already so high. She is so much better with Flying Rescue, and the class's high speed compared to other magical classes made it a lot easier for her to score kills. Flame offered a really nice combination of utility and power, and if I wasn't deploying her, she was usually missed. To be honest, Cyril was a little bit underwhelming. He was in a similar situation to Leonie in that he was often forced to use a support battalion. I definitely wanted to use Flying Stride, but Hilda never had the authority rank for it. Flame usually wanted the Nouvelle Flyers Corps, and Setheth and Petra had better things to do most of the time. I opted not to go for Vengeance setups at all, and I stand by that, given the context. Since I was trying to route almost every map, it didn't make a lot of sense to worry about protecting someone with low HP for player phase use only, when I had several other characters who could happily fight a dozen enemies at once using Vantage. Ferdinand did exactly what I asked him to do, so good job, I guess. I probably should have had him unlock Deathblow, since that would have made him a bit better in his Paralog. Petra was simply amazing. I'm very glad I did some calculations to see what her stats might look like in the late game, since my original plan was to stick with Falcon Knight and never go into Wyvern Lord. She would have missed the extra strength terribly. Lastly, I thought Balthus did really well, albeit not in the way that I'd hoped. I knew going in that Warmonk wasn't really going to be a great class for him, but I wanted to see whether the higher magic and resistance he got from Bishop certification might matter. They did not. New Miguel was a complete non-factor, and Raphael was really the better Warmonk just because he learned Recover. Alas, this is the end. Whether you followed this playthrough from the beginning or not, I can't thank you enough for your support. To everyone who has written kind words in the comments, I truly appreciate that. I've learned a ton from this project. It had its ups and downs, and I have to admit that I'm thrilled not to be playing this game again anytime soon. But I'm really proud of this whole run. I'm honored to have found such a loyal group of viewers, and I'm excited to do more projects in the future. Until then, this has been Fire Emblem Three Houses, and that's the Golden Deer for you.